Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, October 25th, 4:26 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in an uptrend, and if we look at the trend gauge over here, still have the green arrow for market leaders. Short term, this is going on day 32 above the 21 EMA, but we're seeing some weakness. Mid and small caps breaking the 21, along with the Dow red again today and leaking off further. Medium term trend remains up, trading above the 50-day simple moving average. And long term, this is the 200-day simple moving average, green arrow there. So what happened today? Well, it was a little bit choppy. Some intraday volatility, and to be expected, right? 2 weeks away from the election, and there's a lot going on in the world right now. But Tesla was the highlight of today. Day two, higher high on earnings and falling through. So here are the final numbers. 21 over 21 list up 0.18%, 10 green, 1 neutral, 10 red. Big 8 up 1.09%, powered by Tesla, which had another great day today, up 3.36% today, which we added to. RG8 flat on the day, down 0.07%. S&P down 0.03%. Relative weakness in the equal weight. RSP down 0.47%. Tech leading today, up 0.61%. QQEW up 0.48%. Dow Jones down 0.62%. Mid caps down 0.6%. Russell 2000 down 0.38%. 60/40 down 0.22%. And in-house GROTECTION up 0.28%. So as usual, we'll start with the inter-asset correlation. Chart of the S&P 500. So we're trading the 8 EMA is starting to act as some overhead resistance. That's something to be aware of. Obviously, the easiest dollar environments are when you just ride that 8 EMA higher, but still holding above the 21 day. Basically, that's key level to hold moving into next week. But overall, looks fine. We'll take a look at the weekly chart again. Not much to say. We're just trending here to the upside, and there's no real violations or red flags. No glaring distributions coming in here, just kind of, chopping around here at the highs. RSP showing some relative weakness here, rejecting the 21, closing below. Take a look at the weekly. Again, it looks fine on the bigger picture. Some mild volatility on the daily. So want to see this 50-day support on any pullback. And then, you kind of got a upper trend line here from that August low. So that's what it's also coming into right now. But overall, market's just kind of ebbing and flowing. And, sometimes this outperforms, sometimes it doesn't. And with that, looking at the Qs, we were tracking for an all-time high weekly close, but kind of came in during the mid-afternoon to end of the day, just some volatility and rejected right at that 500. I'll pull up an intraday to show you. Just market was firing off the open into the first hour of the day, and it was looking really strong. And then we just kind of started to come back in here, some volatility, and we basically closed right at that gap. Take a look at the weekly chart. Again, had that 3-week tight a couple weeks ago and still trending. Would like to see this blast through 500. So with that, I added something. This is the MAGS. This is the Magnificent 7 ETF. And one thing that the markets might start to see is, rotation back into tech and Mag 7 names. And why is because, rates have been ticking back up. So when that happens, people flock to, more safety assets, and majority of the Mag 7 are cash cows. They're super strong balance sheets, good charts. It's an easy place, and they have all the liquidity, easy place for funds to position in. But this is breaking out of a really clean, flat base here. Obviously, Tesla is helping and leading there. Dow Jones, this is now 5 days down into the 50-day. Expectation would to be hold. You can draw kind of a trend line here from this August 5th lows. So coming back into the 50-day, expectation would be for this to hold, but we're not really trading many stocks that are associated with the Dow, but nevertheless, it's good to look at. And sometimes this performs when the market is more into a risk off, right? More safety companies, dividend type stocks, but key level to hold into next week. Mid caps leaking off. Could say this is a failed breakout, but just coming back into the top of the base and the 50-day, and just still haven't seen breakouts stick in mid caps or small caps in a while, really. And here's the Russell 2000 stalled here back into the 50-day. Got a bit of an upward trend line here from that August 5th lows as well. And so we'll see. Just still in this big range, and could still argue it's a bit of a VCP, but if rates keep going higher, small caps often get hit harder than the rest of the market. The VIX closed back above 20, so it's good risk on, risk off pivot. And like I mentioned, the election's 2 weeks away, and historically the VIX is elevated into this time. So just be aware. The market has been on a strong run. Leaders are still acting great, but always be prepared for the other side. And if VIX really starts to blast through 20, above 23, that we could see some wild swings and more volatility into the market. Dollar again up all day. This is another thing to be cognizant of. Been watching our videos for weeks. We've kind of walked through this trade to a T, talked about the undercut and reclaim of this big pivot here. And then we talked about the super concentrated positioning to the short side. And when everyone's on one side, usually it tends to go the other way. And that's kind of what's happening here. But, back above the 200-day moving average, and more oftentimes than not, a strong dollar isn't good for stocks. Usually not good for gold either, but this continues that correlation isn't there. And that's one thing to note. The dollar gold correlation is kind of always changing, right? What's the narrative for people buying gold right now? What the market picture is, that kind of flips the on-off switch for that correlation. And this looks good. This just continues to trend higher. Gold stocks, little relative weakness versus spot here, coming back into the 21-day, 40 pivots key. Silver, strong as well, broke out through that 30 level, and now it's kind of starting to flag. Bitcoin, pretty volatile today. Here, there was some news with Tether, some crypto thing, and it just knifed, and then it kind of came back. But Bitcoin is a very volatile asset, and that's to be expected with this. But again, still very strong here, and everyone's watching this big weekly breakout here. So we'll see if it comes to fruition. Bonds continue to leak off. TLT again, rate strong again all day, and you can see kind of flagging. And two ways to play this TBT. This is basically. This is way to play rate upside, and then you also have TMV as well. And these are looking like pretty bullish charts, right? Inverse head and shoulder breakouts, took out the neckline. So obviously you want to see these start to come down. Sometimes they can weigh on stocks, and especially small caps. So definitely some things to watch into next week. And 37% of the S&P 500 reports earnings next week. So that's another reason that should expect some more volatility ahead. So we'll get into the tale of the tape. So we talked about some of those, mentioned the VIX up today. Fear and greed's coming down. That's good to see. And then the NAM exposure index dropped again. So market right at all-time highs and exposure levels dropping. That's good to see. The S&P held that 5770 level. QQQ 485 support holding. And then rates, want to see those start to come down. So for Monday, watching those S&P levels, 5765 to 5872, that the Q's range, 485, 499. 500 is obviously a big psych level, so if it blasts through there, could be game on for tech. Day count, consolidation, 13, 3 days below the 8, 32 days above the 21. And obviously we've seen over the past year, 2 years, we've seen S&P hold above the 21-day for nearly 50 days. Sectors-wise, solars were strong. MSOS, this is the cannabis ETF. It's been strong as well. Semiconductors, oil, weakness, Bitcoin, regional banks, home builders, financials, real estate, and you can notice the theme here, right? Rates ticking up. That's going to affect regional banks, home builders, financials, and real estate. In-house today, we added to Tesla in the morning on that morning strength. We bought TZA. This is a short IWM ETF to hedge the portfolio. Sold Uber, just no progress, lagging, and then trimmed Oracle as well. Oracle's not really doing anything wrong, but just kind of lagging other areas of the market right now. Bottom line, S&P chops, bulls and bears, Tesla on the verge of a multi-year breakout. So let's take a look at some of these charts. Start with Uber. Since that gap, just continuing down and no follow through out of this base. So we ended up parting ways with that one. Oracle trimmed half, got a little bit of a gain here, and now it's consolidating. Maybe if it gets volume out of this flag, add back. IWM, I went over it, but continuing rejecting this 21-day. So we took TZA and then Tesla. Day two, higher high, volumes pouring in, and just kind of want to talk about this chart a little bit. A couple things to know is start with the monthly. So Tesla's notorious for making massive moves and then going sideways, consolidating for years on end. This consolidation was 3 years, led to a massive move. And then this one was 2014 to about 2020. So almost 6 years consolidation, massive move. And now we've been consolidating since 2021. 3-year consolidation, breaking a huge downtrend line on the monthly. And the catalyst was earnings, total turnaround. And you can see on this weekly, I mean, this is a huge downtrend line, weekly breakout. Volume's been pouring into this one. And some other things to note with it is Tesla's the most under-owned Mag 7 stock. So this kind of has all the characteristics for a fund. It's extremely liquid, so they can easily get into this name. Earnings showed a complete turnaround. Their free cash flow numbers were fantastic. And then just the price action on earnings, consistent buying on day one and day two. And you can see it was a stampede off the open, consolidated while the market turned lower, held the 260 level on the pullback and closed near high day. So can't really ask for better action here. And so it's into this 270 level. And this could do multiple things. It could consolidate up here while letting the moving averages catch up, or this 270, this 265, 270 level has been huge for years. So maybe it just blasts through that. So we'll see. But nevertheless, price action is very encouraging, along with the earnings were great. And then some sectors I mentioned, XLF, like a 3-bar break to the downside. So keep an eye on this for weakness. Real estate, ugly bar, gap up, reversal, close low a day on the verge of losing the 50-day. If this is your cup of tea, DRV, this is the short XLRE ETF. It's a way to play weakness on this one. Something we do in our morning calls is we all bring up one short idea. 95% of the time, we're not going to take that, but that helps us as a team be aware of, sectors that are showing relative weakness. ITB, this is another one, living below the 50-day here now. And, this sector has had a massive run. So maybe it's going into a base building period. Look at some of the components. Toll Brothers, to me, this looks like a bear flag on the verge of losing the 50-day. And then, PHM, similar look, bear flag and below the 50-day. And then semiconductors, not bad, just kind of meandering here right at the 200-day. Let's look at the 21 over 21 list. ALAB, we own this in GROTECTION, really strong breakout here through the pivot. Close mid-range, kind of market weakness, great numbers here. So this one's acting really well. Palantir, very strong again today, breaking out of this tight little range. This stock is a monster. VRT, another holding in GROTECTION, and shake to the 21-day on earnings, and now it's reclaimed really nicely. So hovering right here, 109.27 is obviously that left side high that we'd like to see supported. CART, another one, really strong chart here, another new merchandise trending above this IPO base. F5 putting in a nice reversal here with the 50-day catching up. Shark Ninja consolidating, big move off this initial earnings gap, and now it's starting to form a base. Nvidia, strong here. And it at this 140 high, and it's just showing great strength. The move from 100 to 140 in a couple weeks is very strong, and it's not giving anything back. But if some of the other parts of the semiconductors start to diverge, this one could come down with it. But overall, it's acting great. Sprouts Farmers Market, frozen rope, just trending along the moving averages. Axon, another one. Probably needs a new base up here, but it's very strong. SMR, like the leader in the nuclear sector right now, and this is kind of forming a high tight flag here. Extreme strength, and you see the volume's just been pouring into this one. Definitely a very volatile name. CEG, kind of at the danger spot here, right at the 21, getting tight. So this probably picks a side sometime next week. CCJ, starting to handle here after that strong push, looking good. Oracle, just kind of digesting, 21 days catching up. MSTR continues to show a lot of power and at a steep 45-degree angle to the upside. This reports earnings in 5 days, and obviously very Bitcoin dependent as well. Coherent sitting at the 21-day here. Would like to see it start to rebound and reclaim into next week. STX, this is getting booted off. 3 closes below the 21, so something new will be added for Monday. Uber starting to live below the 21. We'll see if it can reclaim. IoT looks like it just needs to form a new base up here. C Limited rejecting at the 100 psych level, and again might just need a new base up here. Kava just trending higher, and then Bitcoin pulling back into the 21-day today, and still a lot of volatility. It's still in this big range and probably gets smoother once it breaks out into all-time highs. And obviously what I mentioned earlier, but this big picture weekly chart does look really good. And so, yeah, so that's the 21 over 21 list. I think the market picture is, with the election coming up, could start to expect a little more volatility. A lot of the leaders are acting well. Some might need to form some new bases. And then we're always looking for that new leadership and what's popping up. So I think that is going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com, and then you can reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. Phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, please reach out. And with that, I'll wrap it for Friday, October 25th. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend.